What up? Happy hump day to you and everyone, your whole family, everybody. Listen, we continuing with adjustments, right? And let's be honest. I gotta be honest. This is a very real one, and one again, like I still struggle with. I have a problem with anger. Like, I don't know about you. Somebody can make me upset, and I know exactly how to get them back. Maybe you can relate. I don't know. Actually, I know you can relate. I know exactly how to get them back, how to do it, when to do it. And, it's interesting. I was thinking about this verse earlier today. It's Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12, beginning at verse 19, says, "Friends, do not avenge yourselves. Instead, leave room for God's wrath. Because it is written, 'Vengeance belongs to me. I will repay,' says the Lord. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink, for in so doing, you will be heaping fiery coals on his head. Do not be conquered by evil, but conquer evil with good." It's interesting that Paul is talking about Christian ethics. In other words, what is the ethic of a believer? How are we to behave as believers and practically live out what it means to be faithful followers of Jesus Christ. It's interesting because notice what he says, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink, for in doing so, you will be heaping fiery coals on his head. That he's saying, give to them what they don't necessarily deserve. For in doing so, you'll be heaping fiery coals on his head. Well, he's pointing back to an image here. That back in ancient times, they had these things. Sometimes the fire that would be kept hot by the coals would go out. And so one would have to go to the neighbor's house. And if one went to the neighbor's house, they would ask for coals. And in order to get the coals, the neighbor would take the coals from their fire, and the neighbor would have to carry those hot coals on his or her head and carry them back to his or her house. And so whenever that would happen, of course, it was uncomfortable carrying those hot coals on your head. Well, essentially, that's what happens when you and I behave like Christ towards our enemies. It is, we place them in an uncomfortable position where they're having to be uncomfortable while they're carrying the hot coals of our kindness. And that's what Paul is wanting us to understand. Listen, it's just two things I want to suggest. Because, something about anger, people do us wrong. We got to be honest about that. But guess what? We do people wrong as well. I know you don't want to admit it, but I'll admit it. There have definitely been times, and there will continue to be times that I've done people wrong as well. But just two things. Notice what he says. You'll be heaping fiery coals on his head. And notice what verse 19 says. Vengeance belongs to me. I will repay. Listen, unforgiveness is a weight that you can't carry. You don't want to deal with unforgiveness. Leave it alone. Give it up. There's nothing you can do about it. All right? Learn or begin that process in forgiving that individual. Vengeance belongs to God. That is not your responsibility. But then secondly, do not be conquered by evil. It's in verse 21. Do not be conquered by evil. I thought this was interesting. Do not be conquered by evil. One thing about vengeance is that it can consume you. Has somebody ever done something to you and you wanted to do so much to prove that individual wrong, so much so that time, many years has gone by, and you're doing something to prove an individual wrong that probably forgot about it? That's because you have been conquered by it rather than you conquering it. And that's what Paul is warning us against. You can conquer it. You don't have to let it conquer you. Do not be conquered by evil. Okay? Let it go. You don't have to get them back. God will handle that. Again, this is me, your boy, your favorite, Ty Jones, living in purpose, on purpose. See y'all next time.